There are no secrets. You go out of your body, you can extend your consciousness anywhere, literally, in the universe. As Bob Deannel said repeatedly before he died, there is a spiritual component in the human being. There's a spiritual matter that is 99% of what he is. And that spiritual component, that soul, can be extended infinitely. And when you go out into the universe, there are no secrets. You can go to other planets, you can go to the moon, and Ingo Swann says, you know, the moon is busy. We got people all over the damn place on the moon. There's people all over Mars. There's all kinds of activity. When you're a remote viewer and you really start looking at some of these things, it changes your life. You know, first of all, that you're immortal. There is no death. You're not afraid of dying. You know you live in an infinite universe filled with intelligent life. It changes your view of everything. It's changed my view of them. It's opened the doors for my relationship with them.
And eventually it changed your decision to stay away from the UFO field, and you came back.
I was told to come back. And I don't know whether we have time to go into that story or not. But I was flat told to come back and start sharing what I've seen, sharing what I've learned, sharing my experiences. And I was told that one of the reasons I'm here is to help open the doors, to help open the windows, as it were, to help expand people's consciousness. Alejandro, I'm a deep believer that the survival of this species hinges on the fact that the human race has got to expand its consciousness as a species and as a race if it wants to survive. We cannot continue going down this muddy road we've been on, war after war after war. We can't keep this up. We've got some good friends in high places. We're getting some good professional help, and I'm not joking. We've been getting help from them for a long, long time. So primarily, one of the reasons I'm still doing what I'm doing, speaking at conferences, giving interviews to people like you, is that I deeply believe in my heart and soul that we have got to help expand people's consciousness into who they are and what they are, and to stop this nonsense of waging wars among ourselves. When you reach the point I have reached, you have learned that there doesn't matter what color your skin is. It doesn't matter what language you speak. It doesn't matter what church you go to. The only thing that matters is that you are a human being living a life on planet Earth during this century, and you're here for a purpose, and there is a reason for your existence, and that you are an immortal being, and the universe is infinite, and it's filled with intelligent life. And that's why I'm speaking out, and that's why I'm still doing what I'm doing.
One of the guests I'm really excited to see at the Congress is Paul Hellyer, ex-Minister of Defense, and essentially the reason I think of that is because he's made his life purpose now something very similar, very, you know, that we need to change our ways because we're just killing ourselves. So I'm really excited to meet. It'll be great. Have you met him before?
No, I haven't. I'm looking forward to meeting him. Yeah,
you guys will have to talk.
Over at San Jose here the last time you were there, I had the honor and privilege of meeting Paul Laviolette, who I consider to be one of the top astrophysicists on the planet. And I admired his work for years and years, but I had a chance to get down and chat with him a bit. And I read a couple of his books. I bought a number of his tapes. There's another great mind.
With the assessment, you said that they were trying to assess whether there was a threat.
Yeah.
Did they find a threat was present?
No, because it was quite apparent. And it was very clear from all the evidence they collected that if they were malevolent or hostile, it would have been over a long time ago, because the advanced technology that they repeatedly demonstrated to us, purposely, time after time after time, made it clear to our military leaders in NATO that if they were hostile or malevolent, the game would have been over. Now, in '64, when they published the study, they didn't know what that was, but they had enough evidence to know that there obviously was some kind of a program underway. You've heard me say this again and again, but the government most people think they've got is not the government they really have got. There is a shadow government, no question about it. And they're not made up of people who have to get elected every 2 years or every 4 or every 6. No. We have a government, a shadow government that doesn't get elected, that is not accountable or responsible to, they don't have to account to anyone. They spend trillions of dollars of taxpayers' money, and there's no accountability of that. Some of those know. There are those who are still keeping the lid on, as it were, who know. Now, I'll tell you that I believe I know as what it's all about. I've spent, hell, I'll be 82 next month, a month from now. I've devoted 50 years of my life, Alejandro, trying to figure out what the hell is it all about. And I think I know pretty well what's going on. Now that may sound presumptuous, you know, maybe I am being presumptuous, but I do believe I've got a pretty good handle on what the hell it's all about, because I've been told and shown things which tell me that this program is underway, has been underway for centuries, more likely millennium, and it's a program in progress.
Is there a malevolent component to?
No. None whatever. Now, there is what we'd call tough love. They don't love us necessarily. They don't despise us necessarily. They have a job to do. Some of these people, Alejandro, represent cultures and civilizations 1,000,000 years ahead of us. They're here, and they've been here involved with this race on this planet for thousands of years, and the purpose of the program is literally not only to upgrade us genetically, which they've done time and time and time again. They have manipulated our genome. They have literally orchestrated major changes. Human species, the human race, what do they call us? What do we call ourselves? Homo sapiens sapiens. Well, we used to be not Homo sapiens sapiens. We were something else. But we have been genetically manipulated. We have been genetically re-engineered. We are being sociologically manipulated and engineered. And as I said, it's not so much that they care that much about us, they don't love us that much. They look upon us at the moment as primitive, savage, and dangerous, which is what one of them told the retired Navy scientist who shared that with me, who worked with a couple of them for 5 years of his life, his career. They look upon us as being primitive, savage, and dangerous. And the other one piped in and said, "You also stink. You don't smell good." And the retired commander says, "You know, I'm somewhat offended, you know, I wondered, I showered this morning," and they said, no. Humans have an aura about them. It's a nature of the species, the race. It's a nature of their diet. It's how they think. The term that was used, auric stench. There's an odor about us that is quality of our nature.
Do you know what type of entities these were that this Navy commander was working
Well,
with?
the ones that were working with the commander at this government laboratory, a few miles outside of Las Vegas, and he wasn't specific of where it was, he was a plasma fusion physicist. And they had been working with him, two of them, for about 5 years, until he retired. And it was when he was retiring, he said to them, he'd gotten to know them. And apparently they looked just as human as we did.
Getting into your background, so you came across the assessment and you kept quiet on it for quite some time.
Oh, till 91.
Till 91. And then you spoke about it, and you started having problems to your career. You alluded to that a little earlier. What sort of issues?
Well, I had problems at my job in Tucson, with the sheriff's department. His complaint was that I was involved with UFOs, you know. And my attorney just ripped him over one side and down the other. We went through 2 years of litigation after that. I finally won. I got the job. I got the back pay, $100,000 of tort damage and all that. But I was angry of that. I'd gone through the divorce. I had black helicopters hovering over my house in Tucson. I kid you not. I'm sitting in there one day reading, and I hear this whoop, 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 very distinct. You know what a helicopter sounds like, particularly when it's hovering right above you. And I mouthed a few things and threatened him, you know, and then once he knew he got my attention, gone. And I used to be followed at night with black SUVs with darkened windows, you know, and I got to the point where I could see it in the rearview mirror. And I was shadowed regularly all over the place. I was getting phone calls at 2 in the morning with gruff voices saying, "Listen, you old son of a bitch, you know, your big mouth is going to get you in trouble. Keep your mouth shut. Stop talking about this and leave it alone. Get the hell away from it." And, you know, I got call after call after call. Being shadowed at night and the day, the helicopters, the phone calls, I went through all that.
Did it eventually stop?
I was on the phone one time with Wendell, and he'd gone through all that garbage. Well, hell, they'd put him in prison for a couple of years. And I says, "Wendell, I've had about enough of it." I said, "You know, I pack iron, I carry a gun. I'm fed up with this." And I says to him over the phone, and I knew my phone was bugged. I says, I'm an old vet. I suffer from post-traumatic stress syndrome for 2 wars. Now I says, I just might lose it sometime, Wendell, and pull the .45 and start shooting people. You know, these guys that have been following me, I could put about 5 rounds into that helicopter because it was right above the house. You know, and, you know, I could lose it. And no one is ever going to put me in prison because I'm an old soldier suffering from post-traumatic stress syndrome, you see. And I was saying this tongue-in-cheek to Wendell over the phone. And he says, "That's true, you know." He's picking up on it. And he played back with me. He says, "That's true." He says, "You know, you could go over the edge. You could end up shooting 3 or 4 people." And he said, "That would be terrible." And I says, "Yeah, I hate to, you know, it could happen because I have a point, Wendell. I won't be able to take this anymore." Alejandro, it all stopped. No more phone calls. No more black SUVs with darkened windows. No more helicopters. Now, whether my remark to him had any meaning or not, I don't know. But that did stop. And as I said, my friend in DIA told me later that they'd put out a contract on me because I'd gone from nuisance to threat, and they were going to just have me have an accident.